Speaking of Charlotte, what they got going on over there. 21,000 kids not showing up to school is wild. No kidding. ICE has been conducting operations, which is, right, the polite way of saying f***ing stuff up in the area. Big old walkout from their students. 21,000 students across 185 schools organizing a like a mass walkout. You know, that doesn't happen that often these days because of, I mean, everyone's so alienated. Nobody believes in anything. Border Patrol agents were seen in Charlotte over the past few days as part of the immigration operation Charlotte's Web. You think they chose Charlotte just because they could call it that? Genuine question. I'm not doing a bit there. I think there's a real possibility that's the answer.
Tension mounting in Charlotte as Border Patrol surges in. Residents shouting down federal agents. Other voices kept to a whisper as officers led two handcuffed men out of an apartment complex and into an unmarked van. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino says agents arrested 81 people in about 5 hours Saturday, part of what they're calling Operation Charlotte's Web. At Spanish Mass this morning, Pastor Alejandro Montes told us hundreds in his congregation chose to stay home.
Not to Hitler Olympics or whatever else, but like, kind of crazy how little ICE can do, right? 81 people in 5 hours, and a lot of those people are just going to be released because they're just randomly arresting Hispanics, I bet you. You know, immigration raids used to be a lot more targeted. Like ICE would gather intel and then do an organized raid on a big facility and get a lot of people at once. But ICE is so uncoordinated and nobody wants to work with them now that they're literally resorting to just like driving through neighborhoods picking up people. Like there's no cohesion, no organization. Don't forget that big Black Hawk helicopter operation they did in Chicago. They didn't press charges on any of the people they arrested, you know? They're not getting anyone, nothing's happening. Literally Gestapo squad? No, because the Gestapo would actually arrest and then kill people. Like, don't get me wrong, ICE is arresting people and people are getting deported, but it's slowed down to an incredibly sluggish pace because it actually, again, it keeps fucking happening. It turns out that doing like mass state power stuff actually requires a lot of coordination. It requires a lot of bureaucratic competence.
Their services half empty. What are you hearing from your community today?
Well, I know we have been receiving a lot of text messages and talking with people. There's a lot of people in fears right now. They're scared about to go out and because the situation right now. And yeah, it has been tough. It has been rough this weekend.
Bovino says some of the dozens arrested.
This would actually be illiberal fascism. You know? Liberal fascism would imply that they're capable of meeting the bureaucratic expectations that a fascist government still needs to meet.
It include violent criminals, convicted drunk drivers, and people with removal orders. City statistics show crime has fallen in Charlotte this year. Violent crime down 20% across the board. Charlotte leaders say they have public safety handled.
What we hope is that the Border Patrol will see that the city of Charlotte is a safe city.
Quit being a pussy.
There's nothing to see here. There's no reason to be here.
Urging calm and peaceful protest, with no indication of how long Operation Charlotte's Web will last.
Ryan joins us now from Charlotte. And Ryan, do we have any more of a sense on what this immigration crackdown will look like during this week ahead?
Well, the mayor pro tem tells us they don't have any insight into what the plan...
I really do fucking hate that rhetoric, man. You have to be delusional to think that ICE is actually being motivated by a belief that they're cleaning up these cities. Jesus Christ. Imagine being the mayor of a German town and you're telling the Gestapo, like, I hope when you arrive here, you'll see that our Jews get along well in our environment. And actually, everything here is peaceful between Jews and Gentiles. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Here is, but one big question on a lot of people's minds, what does school look like tomorrow morning? The Charlotte-Mecklenburg School District is telling parents they plan to operate as normal and have not found
in Germany,
any
Hitler
indication.
consolidated all municipal police under his direct control. Unironically, thank fucking God, America is such a federalized nightmare that it's logistically impossible for that to happen, legally and logistically. Even if, Chancellor Trump completely dispelled with the law, there is absolutely no way to do that. There's no way any government could handle that. The federal government is overworked with its personnel enough as it is. Trying to incorporate that kind of power structure, no way.
That DHS is planning to enforce immigration law on their properties. Hallie.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch
NBC News app. What do you take me for, a fucking rube?
This morning, rising tensions in Charlotte amid Border Patrol's surge.
I have the right to record.
Federal agents arresting dozens over the weekend in a surge they're calling Operation Charlotte's Web. Meeting defiance in the streets as residents confront masked officers. The Department of Homeland Security says the mission is about public safety, blaming sanctuary policies for releasing
people. It really is a double-edged sword, you know? It's the beauty and the terror of the American experiment. This country is impossible to control, impossible to wrangle. It's a gigantic, blood-starved beast that is like a logistical nightmare to do anything with. But at the same time, it genuinely does make us really, really, really resistant to, at least in a procedural sense, authoritarian takeovers. Like, there's so much of the federalism, so much of the, like, layered, segmented, this guy has power over this, and here are all the legal stopgaps, and this massive bureaucracy fucking with everything, you know? It makes it really difficult to just completely take everything over. It's a good thing and a bad thing, right? It's like how the American libertarian independent spirit has led to a lot of really fucked up bad politics in this country. But at the same time, it's probably a good thing that the people most susceptible to an authoritarian mindset in this country are also people who aesthetically value the idea of the government not interfering in your lives. And then your police just willingly work with ICE, but they don't. In municipalities that have forbidden them from doing so, they don't. And oftentimes they don't anyway, because, like, police departments usually don't keep track of that information anyway. It's not their prerogative. You're doing the "it can't happen here" bit. No, I'm not. Talking about the socioeconomics and culture of a country and the ways in which it's more or less susceptible to authoritarian takeover is not saying it can't happen here. Don't be stupid. Don't be bad faith. No, I hate it when people, I'm trying to introduce nuance. There's a legitimate argument to be made for the culture of America having influence over, in some respects negative, in some respects positive, the extent to which our country can go completely authoritarian. Examining those differences doesn't mean you're saying it can't happen here. I've spent the past several years saying it's happening here.
On immigration detainers. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino said among those arrested are violent criminals and people with removal orders. North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein pushing back Sunday night.
This is not making us...
Arguably, there are countries with more bureaucratic culture like Japan and Germany, both of which have experienced fascism. That's not the point I'm making. If anything, it proves the point that I'm making. Japan and Germany were nowhere near as federalized as America. Like, they're much more regimented. America isn't regimented, you know? It's bureaucratic in the sense that it takes a lot of effort to manage everything, but not in the sense that there's like a strict hierarchy or chain of command, you know? Like, in America, there are like, on every level, from like law enforcement to judges, to the legislature and everything, there's like 17 chains of command arcing back up to the federal government, and people on the lower rungs have the legal right to tell the people above them to go fuck off. Like, at the end of the day, everything has to be resolved in court, but everything's done through arbitration, you know? The ability for the federal government to control the states and the states to control the cities and so on, it has to be arbitrated in court, you know? It's not a direct kind of authority. It's not like the state can't just tell a city what has to be done. It has to be fought out in court, which stuff like that really slows down the whole, you know, complete takeover thing. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is the fact that our system is disorganized and bloated and inefficient probably saves us a little bit here.
Safer. It's stoking fear and dividing our community.
City data shows violent crime is down 20% in Charlotte this year.
I've heard that.
But city leaders say they're in the dark.
Our community members are deeply concerned, and they are filled with fear and anxiety.
Some Hispanic-owned businesses shuttered out of fear, while seats at a Spanish Mass sat empty on Sunday. Pastor Alejandro Montez telling us hundreds of congregants stayed home. What are you hearing from your community today?
There's a lot of people in fears right now. They're scared about to go out and because the situation right now. And yeah, it has been tough. It has been rough this week.
I guess my point is that even though it's not necessarily true, the founding myth in this country and the legal, like the on text, like legal truth of this country is that any random citizen can see a mayor, congressman, senator, Supreme Court judge, or the president walking down on the street and give them the finger and say, fuck you. And that's a legally protected act, right? In Germany and Japan, that was not the case. Not socially or legally. But socially and legally here, not only is that protected, it's also like kind of considered pretty American. You know, that's considered an American virtue to a large extent. I understand it doesn't always work out that way in reality, but it is a relevant cultural force, you know? The social practices that make Americans litter on the side of the highway are probably also the same reason we're belligerent in a way that makes us difficult to control, like directly, you know?
Now, a big question on a lot of parents' minds this morning. What might this mean as kids head back to school? Well, Charlotte-Mecklenburg school districts tell us that
Yeah, I want to know more about that. That's a pretty big walkout.
We want to bring you up to speed on the ongoing Border Patrol operations unfolding in Charlotte. Today, those operations will expand to North Carolina's capital city. The mayor of Raleigh confirming the news last night. Back in Charlotte, more protests will take place across
Bosch, why is legislation necessary in order to release the Epstein files? It's not. Trump could order the Department of Justice to release them anytime he wants.
city today, including at several schools. More on that in just a moment. So far, we know that Border Patrol have arrested more than 130 people. Agents say they include violent offenders, convicted drunk drivers, and those already under removal orders. Now, this morning, classrooms across Charlotte.
Hate, by the way, that local media just reports what ICE says as gospel, and they never follow it up with, but no evidence has been supplied. Like, in spite of the fact that we know they've lied nonstop every time they've conducted immigration raids, here's what they're saying about the people they're arresting, but they never say it.
Feeling the impacts of this operation.
CMS facing a wave of absences as many parents are fearful of dropping their kids off at school. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards now live at East Mecklenburg High School explaining how the tension in local neighborhoods is spilling there into the classroom and what students are doing about it. Destiny?
Yeah, CMS is reporting a sharp drop in attendance to start off the week, with thousands of students absent yesterday as Border Patrol.
Stop watching corporate news, but that's where you learn all the good stuff. For the most part, Americans get their information through corporate news or stuff downwind of corporate news. Even independent news, like arguably I am to some extent, I still get my information from, you know, the Associated Press. I'm not in the White House press room, right? Like you need to, that's where the information comes downstream of. But you need the media literacy to be able to understand stuff like this, right? For example, if we weren't watching Corpo Slop, how would we know intimately within our hearts, reflexively, how complicit local media is to ICE, right? If all you did was watch, you know, secondhand news sources with no reference to the original, you'd hear people say it, sure, but now you get to see live. Yeah, they really do just repeat whatever ICE tells them. ICE could say whatever the fuck they want, and media will just guzzle it up. They won't even question it, you know? You have to understand it.
Operations continue, and at the same time, there are students that are planning walkouts to protest what's going on in their communities. Now, CMS says about 20,935 students missed school on Monday. That's 15% of the district. The absences vary across all 185 schools, but community groups working inside CMS say they noticed a significant drop. The Latin American Coalition, which mentors students at Garinger High, says only one student showed up to their session yesterday. They add that many families are requesting assignments to be posted online while children stay home for now. And at schools like East Meck and Independence High, students who do show up are walking out in protest.
It's stressful seeing my mom because like she struggles with bills already going to work. I mean, even without her going to work, she's struggling even more.
Little kids losing their parents by ICE and getting taken, seeing them cry. And that, like, it breaks my heart seeing them like that.
And students will continue to make their voices heard today with walkouts planned here at East Mecklenburg.
Hold on, there's some more community reactions.
Our team has been tracking sightings and hearing from the community all.
Like to see seeing somebody yanked out of their car halfway out, you know, being manhandled like that.
Tidro Zergabon.
I said this before, but it's a pretty big indictment of ICE's ability to maintain these raids, that they've gone from high-profile invasions of cities like Chicago and Los Angeles to, yeah, we're in the suburbs outside of Charlotte, you know? Yeah, we got 80 people today. Oh, wow, 80. Well, you're well on your way to 20 million, sir, you know? They have really dropped off in profile. It also makes me wonder how much money that they actually have left. They've probably been overspending. Given how incompetent this administration has been in every other respect, they've already diverted funds to give ICE those super checks. Eventually, they're going to, like, actually meet their budgetary limit. Didn't they just get a huge boost? I have a feeling a lot of that shit's getting siphoned off, you know? We're not going to really know how much money's been directed towards the DHS, probably until this administration's over, but I have a feeling that they're going to run out of money sooner than they expect to. Aren't they using tariff money to fund this shit? We don't really know what's being done with the tariff money in a lot of cases. We don't really know. My understanding is that it's not... For one, it's not as much as they say it is. And for two, I don't think in a lot of cases that money is actually going into a usable account. You know, again, it's the difference between the government destroying money versus the government just holding a bank account. I'm pretty sure that they don't have an ability, they don't have the mechanism to easily transfer money from whatever, you know, pot of gold they get on tariffs to direct that into the DHS.
Machu is one of many witnesses to the incident early Sunday afternoon. He says it's something he's witnessed on social media, never thinking he'd see it with his own eyes.
They were treating him like less than an animal, like, you know, because you would treat a dog with more, you know, compassion than that.
On r/Charlotte, there are posts claiming a local car dealership gave ICE 50 SUVs for free. That's about what I would expect from a car dealership. Also, with the economy being as bad as it is, right now my understanding is that car dealerships are having a really rough time moving new inventory. Like, there are still 2024 models sitting on the lot, and the 2025 models just finally finished filling things out. Now the 2026 models are bearing down the hill, and they're like, fuck, no one's buying, nobody's willing to indebt themselves for 90 months to purchase a brand new $63,000 heated seat mega SUV that runs over 8 toddlers a minute, you know? Are American car dealers kulaks? Or, sorry, are car dealers American kulaks? Yes.
Even one that's acting aggressively, but this guy was acting very calm. He's a human.
Along Milton Road, the community seeing the impacts firsthand, watching a man be torn away from not only his vehicle, but family.
They're like proud to use that, take people away from their families, and this is not good because, as I said, we do a lot of stuff that they don't want to do.
Giancarlos Hernandez understands that criminals should be arrested, but questions if only criminals are being detained.
They're just working. You know, we immigrants do a lot of work that people from here don't want to do. We do a lot of hard work that they don't want to do. They just take people whoever they find.
Pastor Alejandro Montes of Casa Viva Church says his congregation shares the fears of what could happen to them.
And our church statement, that's we share with the congregation, is number one, faith and wisdom.
Nice framing, news media lol. Yeah, it's pretty fucking disgraceful. Like, this is the line people accept, you know? Oh, they're just here to work. Oh, like, not we're being tyrannized by a bunch of fascist brown shirts or whatever. They can only ever frame it in terms of sympathy. Even if I was completely unsympathetic to immigrants or whatever, even if I hated immigrants, ICE is objectively bad for America. You could be racist and xenophobic, but if you were somehow, in addition to those two things, also intelligent, a rough call, I know, but theoretically possible, you would still know that ICE is bad for America. They're thugs. They're low IQ, violent, dipshit, degenerate, fucking white nationalist militia brown shirt thugs running around lawlessly, doing whatever the fuck they want, They're not accomplishing any goals. They're wasting money. They're wasting everyone's fucking time. And they're procedurally bad. They destroy our ability to, like, fuck, if you care about immigration law in this country and you're some kind of dipshit white supremacist, you know, get all of them out or whatever, you would probably hate ICE because you think they're doing a bad job procedurally. Like, fuck, it makes ICE look bad that they're this incompetent. There are a million arguments you can make against ICE. The worst of them is sympathy. People who are sympathetic to immigrants are already sympathetic to immigrants.
We live by faith, but we got a wisdom. If that wisdom just let you decide to stay at home, you will be no one's gonna condemn you because you stayed at home.
Now, as Border Patrol continues through Charlotte, community members are coming together, like Compare Foods. For those who are shopping online, they are offering free grocery deliveries. You'll have to, again, shop online and use that.
Wait, that's actually really nice. ICE is invading our town. Everyone gets free grocery deliveries. That's I don't know. That's pretty sweet, don't you think?
No fee 2025 code. This is to maintain peace throughout that shopping experience, and that's all available now through December 31st. For now.
Man, speaking of shopping, have people been following Pluribus? I'm not going to spoil or whatever. I'm kind of waiting for like the plot of Pluribus to unwind. I want to see like what is the structure of the plot going to be. I'm really interested because, you know, again, it's Vince Gilligan. I don't think he's gonna, you know. We're not here to waste my damn time. I love the setup so far. I'm not spoiling shit. I'm not spoiling shit. No one's spoiling anything. Vince Gilligan would love to see where the plot's going to. Hey, have faith. Motherfuckers will watch a new show created by the guy who made fucking El Camino, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and be like, I feel like my time is being wasted here. Does this guy even know what he's doing? While we're talking about Latin people, I'm not quite done with Enton. I wanted to watch this one yesterday, but I couldn't because I spent an hour and 10 minutes talking about birth rates. We didn't have time for it.
We're still sifting through the results from those 2025 elections in New Jersey and Virginia. And one of the big questions that has been asked is, where are Latino voters? A Latino voting shift toward Donald Trump in 2024 helped propel.
No, that's literally how Gilligan made Breaking Bad 2. He makes up plots as he goes and he's good at it. I think that's probably the way to go. You know? That's probably the way to go. It's like running a D&D campaign. You got to find that shit in the work. Don't authors often write books that way too? Like, you don't have the ending planned. You just have a general structure. And then you try to, like, you see where it goes. You see how it feels. Especially because for a TV show, it's a collaborative project, you know? The energy that a given actor brings to the set might change your perception of their character. They might be so popular and influential, you might think, like, oh, more can be done here. There's more charisma to work with here than I thought before, you know? Depends on the author. I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying. Because to me, there's nothing more lame than when you are watching a show, movie, reading a book, whatever, and you can tell that all of it is building up to a big reveal that you've already kind of got. Like, there's no subtle layering of reveals. There's no, like, brilliant segmenting where it's like, okay, that was revealed, but then what about this? Then what about this? Then what about this? Then what about this? Or whatever. You know what I mean? It's more like you know they're just building up to a big thing, and that's the whole point. It's the whole point, you know? They were rewriting Severance because people's theories were too good. Didn't we learn our lesson with Lost? That shit's really lame. If your whole story is about building up to a big mystery, I don't think... Listen, a mystery story shouldn't be about a big final reveal. A mystery story should be about multiple compounding mysteries that you work through over time, and sometimes you half work towards them, and it feels like you maybe have a partial grip in it, but not a full thing. Nothing feels worse than yelling at a character on screen like, dude, the reveal is obvious, and then they don't figure it out. Or like later the reveal is made, and you're like, yeah, I know, I figured that out like 3 hours of watch time before. You don't want just one reveal. You want to layer that so you feel like you're... Because what in the real world has one reveal? When in the real world is there like a big complicated mystery and then one piece of information fills it in? Oh, that's what that means. You know? To go back to one of the best movies ever made, Citizen Kane. The whole mystery of Citizen Kane is why he said Rosebud. But that's not really, like, the point. That's just the framing device. The framing device is why he said Rosebud. That's what enables the investigation of his life, right? But it's not the point. You know what I'm talking about? Imagine if they rewrote Citizen Kane so that all of the narrative attention of the movie was set up so that you were actually just watching it to find out why he said Rosebud. And they're giving you little, like, red herrings. And that was the point, right? You have to divert attention. You have to... Whatever, man. I'm just revealed out. I'm just revealed out. I'm just done with reveals, you know? I think mysteries are fine without reveals. I don't think you need reveals. I think that sometimes life is complicated, the world is mysterious and confusing, you navigate difficult situations the best you can, you find out little bits of information that give you a little more room to navigate, explore, find out, learn things about the world and yourself, and maybe sometimes you come to what might be a partial understanding, and that might just be enough to get you through. I'm tired of sitting here waiting for the showrunners to decide that I'm finally ready for the big thing they had planned at the end of season 3, and I'm midway through season 2, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it. Sorry, I'm like vague posting about Expedition 33 really fucking hard right now. If the end of Expedition 33 is like, surprise, everyone was Gustav, I'm gonna throw my fucking controller through the monitor, okay? Don't spoil it. We're not spoiling, okay? I need subtle, layered... Okay, just moving on. Editors, cut that out. We're talking about Latin people.
Him to victory. So what do the results in New Jersey and Virginia show us now? What might it tell us about what U.S. opinions are on the president's immigration policy? With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. Harry, a lot going on constantly on the issue of immigration and immigration crackdowns. The Latino vote, what are we seeing among the polls there?
Yeah, what are we seeing? You know, one of the big shifts in 2024 from 2020 was that shift towards Donald Trump, right?
It's our boy.
Immigration played a key role in that. I want to start off with Latinos on Trump and immigration. You know, back a year ago, what did we see on the issue of immigration? Latino voters trusted Kamala Harris more than Donald Trump, but by just 2 points. 1, 2. Look now at Donald Trump's net approval rating on immigration among Latinos. He is 38 points underwater. That is a 36-point shift, essentially, from where we were a year ago on immigration. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are basically tied on the issue of immigration. And now on the issue of immigration, Latinos despise, hate Donald Trump. 38 points underwater. In their mind, he is doing something absolutely wrong when it comes to immigration.
What about the Latino vote overall?
What about the Latino vote overall? All right, how do Latinos feel about Donald Trump overall? Let's take a look here. This, I think, sort of gives the game away.
Goodness.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, that is the phrase of the day. Trump's net approval rating among Latinos. In early February, again, he was just 2 points underwater. Look at where he is now. Late October, minus 34 points. 34 points underwater.
It is the same data, more or less.
32 points over the course of this year. I should point out this is the CBS News YouGov poll, but I was looking at the averager polls. I was looking at our own poll. Very similar shift. 20, 25, 30-point shifts on the net approval rating away from Donald Trump among Latinos overall. Again, whatever Donald Trump is doing in office, in the minds of Latinos, it is not working. They have turned against him in massive, massive numbers.
I was in New Jersey a couple weeks ago on election night there. People were watching certain counties.
I really need, I don't care, CNN, CBS, I don't fucking care. I need like a deep dive of them interviewing Latin people who voted for Trump and now regret it. I need to know what the fuck they were thinking. I need a cut show or like a clip show of 200, 300, 400 Latin men, because it's always the men, saying like, well, I didn't think he meant us, over and over and over and over again. It's all gender shit. It always is, man. 100% of Republican black men just fucking hate women. It always comes back to that. Like, race is not as much of an overriding political determiner as gender is, you know? Especially not now, because we're so gender polarized and fucking, you know how it is.
With high Latino populations very closely. What did we learn?
Yeah, what did we learn from the 2025 elections? I took the highest Latino percentage area in both New Jersey and Virginia. New Jersey, it was Union City. Look at this, 2024 president, 2025 governorship. There was a 52 I'm laughing because you never see any numbers like this. A 52-point shift towards Mikey Sherrill from how Kamala Harris did on the margin. Mikey Sherrill ran away with this. Kamala Harris did win that vote, but by a small margin. Mikey Sherrill did 52 points better. How about in Virginia, Manassas Park? Look at that, a 22-point shift towards Abigail Spanberger from how Kamala Harris did back in 20.
Like, it's honestly embarrassing, and it makes Latin people look pretty bad. I'm not going to lie, politically. And I would say, I mean, I've said that about white people a million times, so you can't really accuse me of being bigoted. Black people, at least, are fucking consistent with their votes. They understand that the Republicans hate their asses, so they vote accordingly. This degree of, like, fucking whiplashing back and forth, it's fucking crazy, man. What the fuck did Biden do to you? Jesus. This just in, people are stupid. Yeah, but people are being stupid in demographically interesting ways.
2024, we saw huge Latino shifts in both New Jersey and Virginia. The idea of what happens to Donald Trump won't impact down ballot. If you're a Republican, you believe that, that is fantasy land. What is happening to Donald Trump absolutely impacted what happened down ballot. Part of it is turnout, but part of it is persuasion. Latinos running away from Republicans, running to the Democrats, a big reversion of the mean. Latinos back in the Democratic camp in 2025 in a way they simply put we're not in 2024, and it's because of Donald John Trump.
Look, and a lot can change between now and next November, the 2026, but if you start sort of extrapolating this and overlaying it on places like Texas.
Yes, we're going to be having lots of discussion about Texas. That redistricting may not work out the way that a lot of Texas Republicans and Donald Trump hope it would.
Harriet, great to see you.
Nice to see you, my friend.
Sarah.
All right. North Carolina's governor is responding to the immigration raids you heard them talking about. Governor Josh Stein is urging people to...
Anti-blackness is a good political determiner. For sure. I really do think it usually comes down to gender politics. It's the fascism is the funny feeling you get in your tummy when you see a pretty girl. I don't know. It's insane and disappointing and extremely stupid that it keeps coming back to this, but I really do think that's the common uniting factor here over and over and over and over again, right? The black male Republicans are basically pick-me's off the case of hating black women, like 99% of the time. Let's be real. You say, oh, he's a white boy, what does he know? I know everything, by the way, you know, regardless of me being white. I know everything. Thank you. You have like these Latin guy pick-me guys who all act like they're white. You know, every Latin guy thinks they're white until the ICE raid comes for them. They all think they're in on it. But there's also this like overriding, I don't know, man. Tie it back to masculinity. The gender polarization has never been this bad. And you keep seeing these like microcosms of it in an interracial sense, right? You see it within the white community, the black, the Latin community. I don't know. Why does the funny feeling in women's tummies not do as much politically? It's a really complicated question. Like, there are answers. It's just really, really, really complicated, you know? I think it's honestly just like, it's a matter of narrative in history, where if you feel frustrated with women as a man, there are people whispering in your ear telling you feminism's the reason why women act in ways that you don't like. Whereas if you're a woman and you're afraid of men, it's probably not because of like, you're worried they'll make fun of your tiny penis or whatever. It's probably because you're worried about them raping you. And if you're concerned about men raping you, you're probably a lot more likely to be susceptible to narratives about how, like, you know, men are dangerous, patriarchy, so on and so forth, which, you know, is true. Those are defensible narratives, right? Like, you know, there are people who go down the wrong path with that, like the femcel bullshit. But if you had to choose a dominant ideology to be guided by, an understanding of patriarchy is probably a little bit more informative than a belief that feminism has made women unfuckable. Another hot take from the Vosh industrial complex over here. Feminism is better than misogyny. Sorry about that. I know. I get myself in trouble sometimes.
Document encounters with Border Patrol agents. He warns that agents are targeting people of color and arresting them in churches and stores.
We've seen masked, heavily armed agents in paramilitary garb driving unmarked cars, targeting American citizens based on their skin color, racially profiling and picking up random people in parking lots. This is not making us safer. It's stoking fear and dividing our community.
Joining me now is Manuel Manolo Betancourt. He owns the popular Manolo's Bakery there in Charlotte.
Anyone been there? Is it good? Was it Manolo's Bakery? That shit good? Any Charlotte heads in chat?
Let me ask you, what happened, Manuel, at your bakery or outside your bakery?
This past Saturday, I was walking here at this avenue, and then these unmarked cars just approach. Just four guys jump out from the car and threw pedestrians down to the floor, and all of these people could be customers from my bakery. And then these cars start coming here to my parking lot as well.
We're seeing some of the video taken by a bystander who is showing, the agents running, people falling on the ground, them trying to nab and pick up people. What have you done with Manolo's Bakery? What have you decided to do with your business because of this?
It's the first time in 28 years that we closed the bakery. The only time that we had closed it was a few hours when the founder passed away in 2014. So I decided not to risk my customers, not to risk my employees, and not risk myself and my family. That could be myself.
Not to be racist, but this better be his first year in America. Mofo's English is not great. Counterpoint, having to interact with people who don't speak English that well as an American makes you stronger. They're out, everyone else in the world is learning like 16 different languages to keep up with your lazy ass. Over here in America, we only have to learn one because we have the global language, because everyone has to learn English to fucking do business with us. People come over here, they learn our language. You're engaging with it, you know what I mean? If your autistic ass can't handle that, this is like a discipline test. You're strengthening yourselves. I've always been pretty bad at understanding people with accents, by the way, like particularly so. I just don't have a good ear for it. I can't hear song lyrics for in most music. I can't understand what they're saying because like the singing over the instrumentals, I just can't hear it that well, But in Los Angeles, I mean, fucking everyone's Mexico. Everyone is Mexico, so you deal with it.
My wife or my kids who were walking on the streets and they just turned down to the floor like what I saw. So it's too risky, and I don't want to carry in my shoulders the heaviness of maybe a kid to lose their father or their mother because they were on their way to the bakery to get a cake.
You're an American citizen, and you've been in this country for many years as an entrepreneur.
Well, there you go.
Are you yourself doing something different because of these ICE raids? Are you afraid?
Yeah, I've been carrying my passport all this year. And nowhere in the Constitution says that as an American citizen I had to carry my passport to show that I'm an American citizen. But because the color of my skin, my race, my accent, and I feel like they're profiling me.
What accent? See, now I'm woker than you.
And I don't want to go through all this process like we have seen and like what I saw, getting hit on the floor and 10, 20 minutes later, threw me to the street when they realized that they found out I'm an American citizen.
I want you to respond to what we've been hearing from the Trump administration and the Border Patrol folks saying that this is all about following the rule of law and getting criminals off the streets. How do you see it?
If they are renewed and there is like some criminals, why they didn't send the information to the CMPD and to the cops here? Saturday they picked 81 people from the street, and just like 7 of them had like some criminal issues. Why they didn't send the information to our local police enforcement? I think and I feel this is more just like intimidation and trying to scare us and a family separation.
Well, maybe if they crack down harder in Charlotte, they'll be able to reverse that very quickly declining Latin vote, favorability vote for Trump.